One Hyundai was so easy to steal that teenagers figured out how to break in using just a USB cable, then posted the how-to video on TikTok. Thefts exploded across America overnight. 5 people died. A $10 cable turned a global giant into a national security headline. Hyundai knew, but they didn't blink. But this is also the company that started by copying a Ford. That hired the man who designed the DeLorean to build Korea's first real car. That went from the butt of every joke in America to building the most advanced electric car on the planet. From a borrowed blueprint in 1967 to an electric empire in 2026, this is every Hyundai ever made. Copy, paste, survive. Hyundai Cortina, Hyundai's first car, and it wasn't even a Hyundai. The founder had never built a car in his life. So he called Ford and started copying their British Cortina part by part. A 1.5-litre inline-4, 71 horsepower. Every single piece came from Ford. Then the Korean government issued an ultimatum: stop copying and build your own, or shut down forever. Ford heard about it and laughed. That was a mistake. Hyundai never forgot who laughed first. Hyundai Pony, Korea's first real car, designed by the same man who created the DeLorean. Hyundai hired Italian designer Giorgetto Giugiaro, the genius behind the VW Golf and the Lotus Esprit, to design their first independent car from scratch. A 1.2-litre inline-4, 55 horsepower, $2,300. That design was so far ahead of its time that when it failed to reach production, Giugiaro didn't throw it away. He recycled it to create the DeLorean DMC-12, the car from Back to the Future. Hyundai couldn't afford to build the concept version. John DeLorean could. Korea got the sedan. Hollywood got the time machine. Hyundai Excel, the car that broke every first-year sales record in America, then broke down in everyone's driveway. A 1.5-litre inline-4, 66 horsepower, $4,995, the cheapest new car in America. Hyundai sold 168,882 units in year one, a record no import had ever touched. Then the complaints started. Doors that wouldn't close, engines that died at 40,000 miles, paint that peeled in the rain. The joke in the 80s was brutal. How do you double the value of a Hyundai? You fill the gas tank. It wasn't just a car, it was a $5,000 disposable appliance. From joke to contender. Hyundai Sonata, Generation 1. The sedan that was supposed to prove Hyundai didn't need anyone, built with someone else's engine anyway. A 2.0-litre Mitsubishi inline-4, 126 horsepower, $9,000. The secret nobody advertises: the first Sonata was technically a facelifted Stella, which was itself a rebadged Ford Cortina. Korea's independent flagship was a Ford in a 3-piece suit. Hyundai pulled it after 2 years when buyers figured it out. Over 7 million Sonatas sold since. Sometimes you need to fail in private before you win in public. Hyundai Scoop, Korea's first sports car, and nobody outside Korea noticed. A 1.5-litre inline-4, 115 horsepower turbocharged, $8,495, thousands cheaper than any rival. Built on the Excel platform, with suspension tuned by Lotus. The name was literally a combination of sporty and coupe, pronounced scoop. Korea's first ever in-house turbo engine debuted here. Rod Millen drove one to victory at Pikes Peak in 1992. Autocar tested it against a Honda Civic and a Nissan, and ranked it dead last. Hyundai quietly killed it in 1995. The Tiburon was already on its way. Hyundai Elantra, the car that went from punchline to prize winner, started with a borrowed Mitsubishi engine and zero respect from American buyers. A 1.6-litre inline-4, 113 horsepower, $8,995. Then in 2012, it won North American Car of the Year at the Detroit Auto Show, beating the Ford Focus and the VW Passat. The same car America once ignored beat the 2 most iconic compacts in the world. Over 14 million sold, the underdog that refused to stay under, Hyundai Accent. The car Hyundai built to fix the Excel's reputation, and it worked better than anyone expected. A 1.5-litre inline-4, 92 horsepower, $8,079, cheaper than a used car but built to last. In 2008, J.D. Power ranked it the most dependable subcompact in America. The same nameplate the press once called unreliable. What nobody advertises, the Accent was sold under at least 7 different names in different countries. Dodge Brisa, Hyundai Verna, Hyundai Pony, Solaris. One car, 7 identities, over 10 million sold. The most exported Hyundai ever built, and most Americans never knew its real name. Hyundai Tiburon. The sports coupe nobody expected from the company that made the Excel. A 2.7-litre V6, 172 horsepower, $16,499, it carried a dark secret, suspension tuned by Porsche and a silhouette borrowed from the Ferrari 456 GT. Hyundai never admitted it, but the stopwatch didn't lie. The name means shark in Spanish, chosen because Hyundai wanted American buyers to feel something dangerous was coming. Motor Trend clocked it at 7.0 seconds to 60 miles per hour, matching cars costing twice as much. Korea's answer to the Honda Prelude that America quietly respected but never fully embraced. The quality revolution. Hyundai Tucson Generation 1. The SUV that rewrote Hyundai's image, built on an Elantra platform nobody knew about. A 2.0-litre inline-4, 140 horsepower, $17,999, the first compact SUV in America to include 6 airbags and stability control as standard on every trim. Competitors charged extra for both. The second generation was designed by a former BMW designer in Germany, making it the first Korean SUV styled entirely in Europe. Nobody noticed. Everyone bought it anyway. Hyundai Genesis Sedan, the Korean sedan that walked into BMW's house and won. A 3.8-litre V6, 333 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, $33,000, with a cabin that made BMW 5 Series buyers feel cheated. It won the 2009 North American Car of the Year, a first for Hyundai. Hyundai was so nervous about the badge that they sold it in Korea without any Hyundai logos, just the Genesis emblem. The R-Spec Vive 8 version hit 429 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, matching a BMW 550i that cost $20,000 more. Germany noticed. They just didn't admit it. Hyundai Genesis Coupe, Korea's first real sports car, and America didn't see it coming. A 3.8-litre V6, 306 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, $22,750, built on the same platform as the Genesis Sedan, but with Brembo brakes, a limited slip differential, and a 6-speed manual. Car and Driver called it a serious kink in the law dictating that rear-drive fun must cost big bucks. Tuners later extracted 900 horsepower from the stock bottom end. Hyundai killed it in 2016 without a direct replacement, and spent the next decade being asked why. The answer never came. Hyundai Equus, the luxury sedan that came with an iPad instead of an owner's manual. A 5.0-litre V8, 429 horsepower, massaging seats, $58,000, half the price of a Mercedes S-Class with nearly identical features. Hyundai was so scared of their own badge they removed the Hyundai logo from the hood entirely. Dealers didn't sell it in showrooms. They drove it to your house for a test drive and picked it up for every service appointment. Nobody bought it anyway. The badge said everything the price couldn't fix. When Korea declared war on Germany, Hyundai Veloster, the car with a door nobody could find. 1 door on the driver's side, 2 on the passenger side, with the handle hidden inside the window trim. People stood in parking lots trying to figure out how to get in. A 1.6-litre turbo, 201 horsepower, $17,300. Cheaper than a Civic C with more personality than anything in its class. Hyundai killed it in 2022 because SUV sales were too good. The most original Hyundai ever built, cancelled because America wanted more crossovers. Hyundai Veloster N. The hot hatch built by the man who used to run BMW M, and it shows. Hyundai quietly poached Albert Biermann straight from BMW's performance division and gave him one job. Build something that scares the Golf GTI. A 2.0-litre turbo inline-4, 275 horsepower, $28,000, developed and tuned at the Nürburgring. Biermann refused to fit Brembo brakes. Anyone can buy a set of Brembos, and designed his own instead. Car reviewers said it felt more like a BMW than a Hyundai. That was entirely the point. Hyundai Nexo, the most advanced SUV in the world, that only works in California. A 161 horsepower electric motor powered entirely by hydrogen. Fill it up in 5 minutes, drive 380 miles, and the only thing that comes out of the tailpipe is water, $60,000. The catch: there are fewer than 50 hydrogen stations in the entire United States, all in California. Hyundai sold just 196 units in America in 2022. Meanwhile, Toyota and BMW spent billions chasing the same technology Hyundai already had. The future works perfectly, there's just nowhere to fuel it. Hyundai Elantra N, the family sedan that beat a Subaru WRX, a VW Golf GTI, and a Honda Civic Type R all on the same day. A 2.0-litre turbo inline-4, 276 horsepower, $32,775, with a limited slip differential, Michelin Pilot sport tyres, and a feature called N-Grin Shift that temporarily boosts power to 286 horsepower at the push of a button. Edmunds called it one of the best-performing compacts they'd ever tested. Car and Driver said it felt like a hot hatch disguised as a grocery getter. Korea's most dangerous family sedan, hiding in plain sight. Hyundai Santa Cruz. The pickup truck built for people who hate pickup trucks. A 2.5-litre turbo inline-4, 281 horsepower, unibody chassis, $25,175, built on the same platform as the Tucson. Truck purists called it a fake. Hyundai called it a sport adventure vehicle. The bed is just 52 inches long, too short for most lumber, perfect for a surfboard. It was a bold experiment that might end in a big mistake headline. Reports suggest Hyundai is already planning to pull the plug by 2026. Just 5 years after launch. The perfect truck for everyone who said they'd never buy a truck. Gone before they could change their mind. The electric empire. Hyundai IONIQ 5. The car that made the entire industry stop and stare. Designed to look like the 1975 Pony, their very first car, but built with technology that made Porsche nervous. A dual-motor AWD, 306 horsepower, 800-volt charging system that goes from 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes, starting at $41,450. The seats recline completely flat so you can nap while it charges. It won World Car of the Year in 2022. The company that started by copying a Ford just built the most talked-about electric car on the planet. Hyundai IONIQ 6, the sedan designed like a fighter jet, and it shows. A drag coefficient of 0.21, slipperier than a Porsche 911. Hyundai's engineers studied a World War II Spitfire and a diving Peregrine Falcon to shape the body. Dual-motor AWD, 325 horsepower, 382 miles of range, $38,615. More range than a Tesla Model 3 at a lower price. The front flap opens and closes automatically like a jet intake. Most people think it's just a pretty sedan. It's actually an aerospace project with license plates. Hyundai IONIQ 5N. The electric car that makes a fake engine noise, and you love it anyway. 641 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, with a drift mode that sends all power to the rear on command. The detail nobody expected: it has a simulated 8-speed gearbox with fake gear shifts, fake revs, and fake pops through 10 speakers inside and outside the car. Purists called it cheating. It lapped the Nürburgring just 2.6 seconds slower than a BMW M2 CS, $61,450. It's the first EV that doesn't feel like an appliance. It's proof that the company that started by copying Fords is now the one everyone else is trying to copy. Hyundai IONIQ 9, the 7-seat electric SUV that nobody expected to beat a Volvo, a Rivian, and a Tesla at a lower price. Dual-motor AWD, 422 horsepower, 335 miles of range, 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, $58,955. Built in Bryan County, Georgia, not Korea. The detail nobody advertises: it has a built-in UVC sterilizer that disinfects your phone and wallet while you drive. The second-row seats swivel to face each other like a private jet cabin. The company that started by copying Fords in Korea is now building 422 horsepower flagships in Bryan County, Georgia, beating the Americans and the Germans on their own turf. From a borrowed Ford blueprint in 1968 to an electric SUV with a private jet cabin built in Georgia, Hyundai's story isn't about cars. It's about a country that got laughed at, went home, and came back better every single time. If it has the H badge, it was built to prove something. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore more legendary machines together.